Here are 7 things you didn't know about James Earl Jones, ranked from the least interesting to the most fascinating. Get ready to have your mind blown. James Earl Jones is known for his incredible voice and acting, but did you know he didn't always want to be an actor? Growing up, Jones actually wanted to be a doctor. He started his college journey studying pre-med at the University of Michigan. His dream was to help people through medicine, not by performing on stage or in front of a camera, but things didn't go as planned. While taking his pre-med classes, Jones realized that medicine wasn't the right path for him. Even though he admired doctors, something didn't feel right. He started to lose interest in his science classes and found himself drawn to something else: acting. Jones' love for literature and poetry, especially Shakespeare, was growing stronger during this time. He began participating in theater, and soon, acting became his new passion. It was a huge change from his original plan, but it turned out to be the right choice. So James Earl Jones went from aspiring doctor to becoming one of the most famous voices in Hollywood. It's hard to imagine what the world would have been like if he had stuck with medicine. We might have missed out on his deep, iconic voice that brought characters like Darth Vader and Mufasa to life. James Earl Jones didn't grow up with his parents like many people might think. Instead, he was raised by his grandparents. When he was just a baby, his parents split up, and his father left. His mom went to find work, and his grandparents took him in. Jones' grandparents lived on a farm in Michigan. Life on the farm was quiet but filled with hard work. His grandfather, a former slave son, taught him a lot about responsibility and values, while his grandmother helped create a stable and loving home. It was a place where Jones could feel safe and learn about the world around him. Growing up with his grandparents shaped Jones in many ways. His stutter, which made it hard for him to speak, became less of a problem because of the love and support he had at home. His grandmother encouraged him to read and speak aloud, helping him overcome his speech problems. Jones once said that his grandparents were his true parents. They gave him the foundation he needed to become the person he is today. Without their care, we might never have known the powerful voice behind characters like Darth Vader and Mufasa. James Earl Jones made history in 1982 when he became the first African American to play Othello on Broadway since Paul Robeson. Othello is one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, and the character of Othello is a Moor, which means he is a black man. Even though the role was written for a black actor, it was often played by white actors in makeup for many years. When Jones took on the role, it was a big deal. He was already known for his powerful voice and strong presence on stage, so many people were excited to see how he would bring Othello to life. His performance was intense and emotional, showing how much Othello loved his wife, Desdemona, and how deeply he was hurt by jealousy. Playing Othello was important not only for Jones but for Broadway and African American actors in general. It showed that black actors could take on major roles in classical theater and do it just as well, if not better, than anyone else. James Earl Jones proved that talent and passion, not skin color, are what matter most in acting. His portrayal of Othello remains one of his greatest achievements in theater, and it helped pave the way for more diverse casting on Broadway. James Earl Jones is one of the few people in the world who has come close to achieving something truly special in the entertainment industry. He's what is known as an Egot nominee. What does that mean? Egot stands for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, the 4 biggest awards in acting, music, and theater. Only a handful of performers have ever won all 4, and while Jones hasn't won all of them, he's been nominated for each of them, which is an amazing achievement on its own. First, let's talk about the Emmy Awards, which are given for the best in television. James Earl Jones won 2 Emmy Awards in the same year. In 1991, he won an Emmy for his work on the TV drama Gabriel's Fire, and another for his guest appearance on Heat Wave, a television movie. His strong performances on TV proved that he could bring the same powerful energy to the small screen as he did in movies and on stage. Next, there's the Grammy Awards, which are given for the best in music and spoken word. In 1977, Jones won a Grammy for Best Spoken Word recording for his work on Great American Documents. His deep, commanding voice made him perfect for reading important American speeches and documents. His voice is so recognizable that even when he's just speaking, it grabs attention and makes a lasting impression. When it comes to the Oscars, which are for the best in film, James Earl Jones received an honorary Academy Award in 2011. This award was given to him to recognize his lifetime of incredible work in the film industry. Even though he was never nominated for a regular acting Oscar, his contributions to cinema, including his iconic role as the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars, earned him this high honor. Finally, we come to the Tony Awards, which recognize the best in theater. Jones has won 2 Tony Awards for his work on Broadway. The first came in 1969 for his performance in The Great White Hope, where he played a boxer fighting racial prejudice. He won his second Tony in 1987 for his role in the play Fences, where he delivered a powerful performance as a father struggling with his past and present. While James Earl Jones hasn't won all 4 awards needed for the Egot status, being nominated for all of them is still an impressive feat. It shows just how talented and versatile he is as an actor, able to succeed in television, music, film, and theater. His nominations and wins across these categories demonstrate his place as one of the greatest performers of our time. Even without the full Egot, Jones' achievements have made a huge impact on the entertainment world. One thing many people don't know about James Earl Jones is that he wrote an autobiography called Voices and Silences, published in 1993. This book dives deep into his life, struggles, and journey to becoming one of the most respected actors in the world. In the book, Jones shares personal stories about his childhood, his battle with a speech impediment, and how he found his voice both literally and in the world of acting. Jones had a rough start in life. As a child, he suffered from a severe stutter, which was so bad that he barely spoke for years. He was often silent, feeling trapped by his inability to express himself. In Voices and Silences, Jones talks about how hard it was to grow up with this challenge and how it affected his confidence. But he also shares how poetry and public speaking helped him slowly overcome his stutter and find his voice. He credits a high school teacher who encouraged him to recite poetry in front of the class, which started him on the path to overcoming his speech problem. In the autobiography, Jones also writes about his complicated relationship with his father, Robert Earl Jones, who was also an actor. His father left the family when Jones was very young, and for many years, they were estranged. However, as they both grew older, they reconnected, and their relationship improved. Jones talks about the pain of not knowing his father for much of his life, but also the healing that came when they finally reunited. Another interesting part of the book is Jones' reflections on his acting career. He shares stories about his early struggles as a black actor in a time when opportunities for actors of color were limited. Jones talks about the pressure he felt to represent African Americans in a positive light, while still wanting to take on challenging, complex roles. He also discusses his experiences working on some of his most famous projects, including Star Wars and The Lion King. Voices and Silences isn't just a book about James Earl Jones' career, it's about his life, his battles, and how he turned his struggles into strength. Writing an autobiography allowed Jones to share parts of himself that fans might not know from just seeing him on screen. It's a deep and personal look at the man behind the legendary voice. If you want to know more about Jones' life, his thoughts, and his experiences, Voices and Silences is a must-read. It shows how he became the man and the actor we admire today, overcoming obstacles that could have held him back. One surprising fact about James Earl Jones is that he didn't just voice Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies, he also brought the iconic character to life in several video games. Most people know him for his unforgettable performance as the voice of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, but his involvement with the character extends far beyond the big screen. Jones first voiced Darth Vader in Star Wars A New Hope in 1977, and his deep, powerful voice became instantly recognizable. His portrayal of the dark and menacing villain made Darth Vader one of the most famous characters in movie history. But what many people don't realize is that Jones continued to lend his voice to Darth Vader for years, even in video games. In the 2000s, James Earl Jones voiced Darth Vader in video games like Star Wars Battlefront I and Star Wars The Force Unleashed. These games allowed players to step into the Star Wars universe and experience the epic battles and stories firsthand. Having Jones reprise his role as Vader in these games made them even more exciting for fans. His voice added an authentic touch to the gaming experience, making it feel like you were really hearing the same Darth Vader from the movies. Even though Jones didn't always voice Darth Vader in every Star Wars game, when he did, it was a special treat for fans. His voice is so closely linked to the character that it's hard to imagine anyone else taking on the role. In some cases, sound-alikes have been used, but when Jones himself steps in, it brings a whole new level of excitement to the game. Another interesting point is how dedicated Jones is to the character. Even as he grew older, he was still willing to voice Darth Vader when called upon. It shows just how much he cares about his connection to the Star Wars universe and the fans who have loved Darth Vader for decades. His work in video games helped keep the legacy of Darth Vader alive for new generations of fans who might not have seen the original movies in theaters. Through his contributions, James Earl Jones ensured that Darth Vader's voice remained as powerful and intimidating in games as it was on the big screen. So, while many people know James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader from the movies, it's less known that he also helped bring the character to life in the video game world. His talent and dedication to the role have made Darth Vader one of the most memorable villains of all time, no matter the medium. One interesting thing about James Earl Jones is that he has been married twice. His first marriage was to an actress named Julianne Marie. They got married in 1968, and while both of them were involved in the entertainment industry, their marriage only lasted for a few years. By 1972, they had gone their separate ways. Not much is publicly known about their relationship, as Jones tends to keep his personal life private. However, it was his second marriage that became a big part of his life story. In 1982, Jones married Cecilia Hart, another actress. The two met while working together on a TV show called Paris. Their connection on set led to a strong relationship off-screen. Unlike his first marriage, this one lasted much longer. James Earl Jones and Cecilia Hart stayed married for over 30 years, until she sadly passed away in 2016 from ovarian cancer. During their marriage, the couple had one child together, a son named Flynn Earl Jones, born in 1982. Jones has often spoken fondly about his son and how much joy Flynn brought into his life. Even though James Earl Jones is known for his powerful voice and iconic roles, his family life is just as important to him as his career. Cecilia Hart was a big support for Jones, and he often spoke about how much her love and companionship meant to him. She also had her own acting career, appearing in both television and theater. Though she didn't become as famous as her husband, their long marriage was marked by love and mutual respect, with Hart being a steady presence in Jones' life during both the good times and the tough ones. The loss of his second wife was a major blow to Jones, and he has spoken about how hard it was to lose someone he loved so deeply. Despite the challenges, Jones continues to work and remain active in his career, with his son Flynn being a constant reminder of the life he built with Cecilia. James Earl Jones' two marriages reflect the different stages of his life, from a young actor finding his way in the world to a seasoned performer who found lasting love and partnership.